The 2021 season has brought new regulations, and that means a lot of new solutions. And a lot of teams have already started the development war in pre-season testing and right into the first round at the Bahrain Grand Prix. And a team that had said to everybody at the launch of their car that they weren't really doing any development this year turned up in Bahrain with some developments, and that's Haas. So starting off, they brought a new front wing to the second day of pre-season testing. So you can see on day one that the lower element of the rear wing is quite different to day two. They changed those front little sections, those little silver sections, new wing, bit of work gone into that, and it shows a direction that Haas are going in. Haas have also changed another part of the car. The barge boards of the car are a crucial area on all of these cars, and once again Haas have made a little update from this year. They've just linked the outer section of the pod wing, some people call it, this little section on the upper section of the side impact structure. That's linked this year. It wasn't linked last year. I think there's going to be a bit more development around there. That's another crucial area for all of the cars, and I think they're not quite finished on that area yet either. And that's not all. Like every team in Formula One, Haas has been experimenting with the floors, and you can see two different floors they turned up in testing. On day one, very basic floor, straight line with a small little kick up in the middle. Day two, possibly influenced by the Mercedes Viennetta style floor, they've put this big kick up in the middle, and this midsection of the floor on all of the cars in 2021 is proving to be a really crucial and possibly aerodynamically rewarding area. Another area of all of the cars that the teams are really studying hard, not just McLaren, is the area around the rear of the floor. And Ferrari have come along to pre-season testing with these little side fences inside the inner face of the rear wheel. And I think that's all to do with, once again, trying to seal off the edge of the diffuser from that nasty vortex that comes off the base of the rear tyre. Get that into the diffuser, it's really going to cost you downforce. So those little rear fences, that's something a lot of the teams are going to be looking up and down the pit lane, because that's something they may be able to experiment with in time for the latter part of the year. Brake ducts are a key area of development for every team in Formula One this season. New regulations didn't really impact the brake ducts in a major way at the front of the car, but everything else around them has pretty much changed. So they're now finding little aerodynamic tweaks and differences, because brake ducts aren't just about cooling the brakes down. You can see this really clearly on the Red Bull. This is their 2020 brake duct highlighted in blue. Now look at the 2021 brake duct. It's a subtly different shape. That's not because the brake materials changed, the demands on the braking have changed in any way. In fact, it's exactly the same discs, pads and caliper. This is all to do with the aerodynamics around the front wheel. Red Bull clearly trying to optimise that with their ducting, and that's something the teams are free to develop all year long. And it's one of the few areas that may have some scope into 2022, though I'm not entirely convinced by that, because on the 2022 car there's some really crucial areas just behind the front wheel as well. So just keep an eye on every team's brake ducts as they develop through the season. Red Bull have also been, as everybody has, playing around with their floor, and I just thought we'd just take a quick look to see what Red Bull have done. They've got a aero testing rake on there. This is from pre-season testing. You can just see some of these structures around the mid area of the floor. I'm really including this just because I expect to be talking an awful lot about the floor on this car in the coming weeks and months, and this is just the sort of starting point. So this is your starter for 23 races, but I think there's a lot more we're going to see on the Red Bull in that part of the car in particular, as well as just ahead of the rear wheel. But the developments on the car were not just limited to pre-season testing. Coming into free practice for the Bahrain Grand Prix, Aston Martin turned up with a new floor on their car. This is the version the car was fitted with in pre-season testing. You can see that distinctive, almost Viennetta style wobbly floor and the sticky uppy bits in the middle. However, going into free practice, a brand new floor was fitted, and note this really dramatic cutout in the middle. You've got the same three sticky uppy bits at the front, then a little array of those flow conditioners in the middle, and then three additional ones behind it. But that big cutout in the floor, that right angle, really reduces the width of the floor, and it does kick out a little bit further back, so you don't have that tapered section that a lot of the cars were exhibiting in testing. This is really a new direction on the floors. We have seen that the AlphaTauri has been experimenting with something similar in secret at Imola. However, They haven't put it on any car in public yet, but I expect to see a lot more coming from all of the cars in that area of the floor, and that's something we're really going to explore a little bit later on in Tech Talk. Now, the final thing I really wanted to look at coming out from free practice in Bahrain was this. It's the front end of the AlphaTauri. Now, you may notice that the front bulkhead is almost split into two sections. It's a double bulkhead, if you like, and you may find that this looks a little bit familiar. Well, it should do, because this is exactly what Red Bull Racing did last year. And that split the bulkhead and moved the steering rack further rearwards. However, this isn't what the front bulkhead of the AlphaTauri looked like last season. The team have taken last year's monocoques, taken parts out and adapted them to include the Red Bull front suspension from last season. That's a big change for them, and they haven't incurred any tokens for doing that, and that's raised a few eyebrows, because in my mind that level of change to the front of a chassis is really a new chassis and possibly could be a big token spend, but it seems to be working for the team. The AlphaTauri is handling well and doesn't suffer the really dodgy handling vice of last year's Red Bull, which we think is down to a poor gearbox casing design on last year's Red Bull.